Object-Oriented Software Engineering, Unit 1, Lesson 8. It speaks about the object tree. So the final topic of the discussion in Unit 1 is about object tree. So how do we define object tree? So before we go into object tree, we look into the properties that are expected of a modern development technique. So number one is it must support the iterative development of a system over the entire life cycle. As just we have seen the system life cycle, it should also support the iterative development of a system over the entire life cycle. Number two, it should view each iteration as a change to an existing system. So whatever changes come in from the user has to be accommodated, and each iteration has to be viewed as a change to the existing system. And number three is it must support the entire chain from changed requirements to the functioning system. So whatever the changes that are coming from the user will have to be adapted, and those changed requirements have to be implemented into the functioning system. Then comes how to define object tree. Now object tree is defined as the object factory for software development. Usually we don't use the word factory or manufacturing for software products, but then object tree is something which speaks about the object factory for software development. So object tree is a development technique, and the framework of object tree is a design technique called as design with building blocks, derived from a Swedish telephone exchange company. With the building block technique, a system is viewed as a number of connected blocks, each block representing a system service. Now, when all the required system services are completely specified, building blocks are designed using top-down approach, ensuring the system supports changes to its functionality and adapts to the new technology. Building block technique has been employed for over 20 years in the development of large commercial systems. It has yielded good results both in centralized as well as decentralized systems. So coming to the building block technique, it has been significantly improved when combining it with other two techniques. They are conceptual modeling and object-oriented programming. This technique is being used in various systems such as information systems, real-time systems, process control systems, case tools, and graphic presentation systems. Further, this technique has adapted different programming languages, database management systems, and also the operating systems. It is also extended from object-based to object-oriented as it supports inheritance between classes. So this technique has been simplified for applying to small as well as large products. Three techniques of design with building blocks, conceptual modeling, and object-oriented programming put together made it unambiguous and interrelated. Conceptual modeling has been extended with object-oriented concepts to describe the dynamic behavior. Summarizing the whole view of object tree, the object tree product itself is viewed and described as a system to develop a new version of object tree from the previous version of object tree. So basically, till now we have seen how the system life cycle can be done in 6 different ways. The basic triangle which showed the basic underlying structure as architecture, upon which there are some methods to support the architecture, and also to industrialize the methods, we have a process, And to build this particular process, we need required tools, for which we have some software engineering case tools. Computer-aided case tools, computer-aided software engineering tools, we call them as case tools. So apart from all these different things, as part of the system's life cycle, we have also seen that there is an object tree, which is nothing but object-oriented software development factory, in which we have seen there are some building block technique which includes each and every functionality in terms of a building block. So when all these building blocks are combined, the effective functioning of the system takes place. To aid this particular building block technique, we have other two techniques also combined to it to have an efficient or a significantly improved system. Those two techniques we have discussed as conceptual modeling and object-oriented programming. Thus, we could take the object-based to object-oriented system as it supports inheritance between classes. So when we have all these three techniques, building blocks, conceptual modeling, and object-oriented programming put together, it becomes interrelated concept. So the speciality of the conceptual modeling is the dynamic behavior. It describes the dynamic behavior. So on the whole, we have come to a conclusion that the object-tree product itself is viewed and described as a system to be developed, and a new version of object-tree is always made from the previous version of the object-tree.